What's up guys, it's Tundrum here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my mono red modern budget burn deck. Now this is still absolutely top tier, near the best burn you can get, but this version I've made is only going to cost you maybe $80, $90, $100 to get every single card on the list. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, we've got Monastery Swiftspear. This card is a really solid card in any burn deck. It's a 1 mana 1/2 with haste and prowess. That's it. A 1 mana 1/2 with haste is already solid, and then if you give it prowess, it can just get so big. 2 free power just on a 1-drop with haste, just when you're casting your instants. It's a really solid card and need to be running 4. Next up, we've got Soulscar Mage. We're running 4 of these. It's a 1 mana 1/2 human wizard. Also has prowess, but instead of that haste that's on the Monastery Swiftspear, it says if non-combat damage will be dealt to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on it instead. So this just says all your burn and damage things deal -1/-1 counters instead of damage to your enemy's creatures, which is really solid, really good card. Next up we've got a Dolan of the Great Revel. We're running 4 of these. It's a bit skeptical, because it is, number 1, quite expensive, and number 2, almost every spell in our deck, in fact I think every spell is CMC 3 or less, but normally it's going to hurt our opponent more than us. It's 2 mana for a 2/2, and whenever any player casts a spell with CMC 3 or less, it deals 2 damage to that player. Most of the time this is going to hit our opponent just as much as us, and because we're an aggro deck, we don't care about our own life total, so it's really solid. Next up we've got Lava Dart. It's a 1 mana spell, and it says it deals 1 damage to any target, which would be really average, but it says you can flashback it by sacrificing a mountain. I was a bit skeptical about running this, but because it has flashback, it can let us get double prowess triggers, which is really solid, so that's why we're running it. Really good card. Next up we've got Lava Spike. Lava Spike is just strictly worse Lightning Bolt. It's a sorcery and it only hits players and planeswalkers, but still 1 mana to deal 3 damage to a player or planeswalker is really solid, really good in any burn deck. We need to be running 4. Next up, the myth, the legend, Lightning Bolt. 1 mana instant, deal 3 damage to any target, really solid, really good removal, probably the best of all time in red at least. Need to be running 4, great card. Next up we've got Scorching Blaze. It's a 2 mana instant and it deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to target creature that player controls. That wouldn't be that good, but it says landfall. If a land entered the battlefield under your control this turn, it deals 3 damage to that player and 3 damage to that creature instead. This is really solid. Hitting a player and a creature for free is busted. This is like a really good 2-for-1. 6 damage on 2 mana though, really solid. Next up we've got Skewer the Critics. New card from Ravnica Allegiance. It's a 3 mana sorcery that deals 3 damage to any target. Wouldn't be very good, but it has Spectacle. So if your opponent has been dealt damage this turn, you can cast it for just a single red, the same cost as Lightning Bolt. Really solid card. Next up we have 4 copies of Rift Bolt. Rift Bolt's really solid, almost as good as Lightning Bolt. It's a 3 mana sorcery that deals 3 damage to target creature or player, any target, which also wouldn't be very good, but then it has Suspend 1 for 1. So you pay a red, put it in the suspend zone with a time counter, then your next update, remove the time counter, and then you can play it. Really solid, just a Lightning Bolt pretty much, but you have to wait 1 turn to play it. Next up we've got another new card, Light Up the Stage. It's a 3 mana sorcery that says exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. This includes lands, really solid, but what makes this really good is it has Spectacle for 1. So you hit them with a burn or with your creature, and then you play this, and because our deck has such a low curve, it's essentially just drawing 2 cards for 1. That is insane. Now onto the Marna Bass, really basic Marna Bass. 19 mountains and a lone Castle Embereth. The Castle Embereth, the reason why we're running it is just because you're never going to keep a 1-lander, even in burn realistically. So you just play your mountain on turn 1, and then if you have the Castle Embereth, you're only going to have 1, so you play it untapped on turn 2, and then it's just a strictly better mountain. It doesn't do that much, but ability, it's still an upside over a regular mountain. And finally, we have the Sideboard. We're running 4 Skullcrack in the Sideboard. This is good against people who have a lot of life gain or damage prevention. Pay 2 mana, hits them for free, and makes it so they can't gain life or prevent damage this turn. Then we've got 4 Bonecrusher Giant. It has Adventure for 2, so you can put it in the Adventure Zone for 2 mana and deal 2 damage to any target, and then you can play it as a 3 mana for free, which is pretty solid. Plus it has, whenever it becomes the target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. Really solid against decks that have a lot of damage prevention or things that make it so they target your creatures heaps. Then we've got 4 Smash to Smithereens. Insane against artifact decks. 2 mana instant to destroy target artifact and deal 3 damage to that artifact's controller. Really solid. And then finally we have 4 copies of Searing Blood. This is really good against decks with lots of little creatures. It's 2 mana to deal 2 to target creature, but if the creature dies this turn, you deal 3 to its opponent. So pretty much a slightly worse Searing Blaze. And yeah, that's my really good modern burn budget deck. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and yeah, peace out.